Hello man, what's up? So what are some funny things that you will do as a spiritual person? What I've got for us today is a list. I'm going to walk us through the list and maybe you'll be able to relate to some of these, man. So let's do it. Scenario number 1. You hear someone speaking about spirituality. You hear someone speaking about absolute truth. You will want to correct them, or at least you will want to add nuance to their spiritual understanding, right? Because your spiritual ego, man, it's going to want to change that. Like, they're not getting the full picture, are they, man? Right? And just as you're about to correct them or add nuance, excuse me, I think you'll find that consciousness is infinite. I think you'll find that consciousness is not an emergent property of the brain. It's the nature of reality, right? Just as you're about to do this, man, you realize that's my spiritual ego and it wouldn't change anything. You're just trying to change your relative reality. It doesn't fucking matter, man. In the moment, you just get this intuition like, the universe is infinite. My spiritual ego doesn't change anything here. Not really, man. You realize this because you feel a bit like a fool when you try and be the most conscious person in a conversation, or you try and expand someone else's world or someone else's level of consciousness. You just get this intuition, dude, you can only change your reality. You realize what you're trying to do there is basically just for your spiritual ego, okay? And you chuckle and you laugh as you realize this. Okay, number 2. This one happened to me recently, actually, man. So it is, you want to connect with other spiritual people, right? And you do. You go and meet spiritual people. You speak to them, you hang out with them. However, it falls short. It doesn't quite satisfy you in the way that you wanted it to, right? And you basically just realize, oh, I'm not looking for spiritual people. I'm just looking for myself, right? A couple months ago, this happened to me where I went to like a meetup type thing, right? Spiritual meetup. I went around the room, I spoke to like everyone, dude. I was like, well, I'm dissatisfied. I actually went to the person who's hosting it, like, point to the person I can have a really deep conversation with, right? And listen, man, people are great, but I ended up leaving. Do you know why? Because I realized I'm just looking for myself. Basically, what you realize, man, is that you don't want other spiritual people. That's a false desire. Like, the spiritual ego will manifest that desire, but actually you just want yourself. So when I was at this meetup thing, dude, I was walking back and I was like, oh man. And I was just faced with this intuition which said, dude, don't you get it? You don't want other people, you want yourself, right? Because what you really, really want is you want awakening, right? And awakening can only happen within your own experience. So basically you have to be, with you. It has to be you, okay? You can't, you can only awaken through you, with your own direct consciousness, right? You can't awaken through another dream character. You have to do it through your own experience, right? And this is what I was feeling. I was just like, oh God, man, what? Have this deep conversation with this person, deep conversation with this person, and yet I wasn't there. I didn't have it. It's because I wanted myself. And when you really, really think about this one, you kind of get to this point where you realize you don't need to seek out spiritual friends. You don't need to seek out other spiritual people. It sounds strange, but you really don't. You actually just want to have a certain experience with yourself. If you have that kind of non-dual understanding, you know that underneath all experiences is the desire to awaken, right? But especially something quite, spiritual, like having a spiritual conversation with a spiritual friend. It's just never going to fully do it. You're still in duality. And I know, you can melt into the present with someone else. You can have earlier today, man, I was having a conversation with someone and I felt, very much one with them. I didn't really feel any difference between me and this person. However, at the end of the day, you just want to come back to yourself, right? You just want to have spiritual experiences on your own, which is to say, you want to awaken. You want to have, that God experience where you can see yourself as God. And you can see everything as God. Number 3, man, is competing in the Insight Olympics, right? So what this means is this. You're subtly trying to outdo others by sharing even higher quality, even more profound insights. It's very similar to the first one, It's one of those social experiences where you're like, you know, truth is truth. The universe is absolute. Consciousness is absolute. Spiritual wisdom, you could say, is absolute. But your ego will try and get a bit of a high by sharing its spiritual knowledge, okay? It will try and get some recognition. And if you introspect, what you'll find is that this is not, you know, your higher self, it's your ego trying to get that kind of validation. Number 4 is having massive spiritual breakthroughs where you finally realize, holy shit, everything is metaphysical. And you become very, you know, obsessed with this idea that everything is non-physical. You know, and you know, you might go against like materialism and stuff. Basically, you've had this big metaphysical breakthrough, which is significant. And yet what happens is you very swiftly go back to your very, very material existence and your material attachments and your material addictions. So you have made pretty sick progress metaphysically and spiritually, but then when you look around and you look at yourself, you realize that you don't have any integration, you don't have any embodiment. And this will make you laugh and it'll make you realize I need to do some work on myself. So final one is this: you obsess over meditation. And you obsess over doing things like micro meditations to basically optimize your experience, to try and have as of a conscious of an experience as you can possibly have, or to just be as, you know, spiritual and godlike as possible all the time. So this is how I personally do this one. Before I leave the house, I don't just leave the house, I don't just get my shoes on. I sit and I must do like at least 10 breaths, or I must do a 2-minute meditation. A couple of months ago, me and my brother needed to go somewhere, and we were like, not late, but you know, we need to go, man. And I just needed to take 10 breaths. And my brother was like, dude, let's go, man, we gotta go. I was like, dude, I'm on my second breath. I got 8 more. Do you want to breathe with me? Let's do it together. You basically obsess over having like a somewhat spiritual experience always. So it's kind of like an addiction to being slightly higher consciousness than usual. And to be honest, man, it can be quite addictive. You can find yourself kind of like disappointed when you're not in the state. And the thing that's most important to you, man, is state. You don't feel good? 5 minutes meditation, you'll feel a bit better. Like, it's that kind of mindset, you know. And again, like, this can work, and this will mean that, you know, you're constantly working those spiritual muscles. You're constantly, you know, tweaking your consciousness and like upgrading it. But at the same time, man, like, you do got to ask yourself, is this like my spiritual ego driving here? Or is this God within me? Or actually wanting to become conscious every like hour? Or is it my spiritual ego, you know, desperately just trying to be more conscious? Okay, man, that's going to be our list. I hope you've enjoyed it. In the comments, if you want to put like something non-dual related to let me know that you're spiritual, that's good. You can do that. I'm just fucking with you, man. Anyway, brother, we'll call it there, man. I hope you've enjoyed this one, my brother. And as always, take care and peace.